Hello everyone, it's your friend of a friend. So Candace Owens is getting sued by First Lady of France Brigitte Macron for defamation for alleging that the First Lady was born male and is not a woman. Now, my first reaction to this lawsuit was to laugh at Candace and say that's good for her ass. She was part of the lynch mob that once accused former First Lady Michelle Obama of being a male as well, and to date that claim has been unfounded. And Miss Obama chose to take the high road and ignore the slander, but the Macrons have not. But it wasn't until Candace Owens doubled and tripled down on her claims that the First Lady Brigitte Macron is a man and that she had proof that raised my antennas just a little. Because personally, I don't care what a person chooses to do with their bodies, that's their business, and I couldn't understand why that was a hill Candace Owens was willing to die on, metaphorically speaking, and stake her credibility as a journalist on this matter.
Well, 1000%. She was born a man, lived as a man for 30 years. I only presented the facts because Emmanuel Macron sent me a legal threat.
Okay.
We went back at him and we said, Mr. Macron, we won't publish a single episode if you just answer this question. Was Brigitte Macron born a biological male? They came back and refused to answer. They said they don't owe you an answer. Now that's stupid.
Because at the end of the day, who cares? I'm sure her husband, Emmanuel Macron, knows the truth by now, and it will change nothing between them, so why does this matter so much to her? So I decided to go to her channel and watch the expose that has got Miss Owens so much flack from the Macron family, and I must say I was not prepared for what I ended up learning about this family in the 8-part series Becoming Brigitte. If you just rely on sound bites from the media, you would just think this was all about Brigitte Macron possibly being transgendered, and it is not. It goes way deeper than that. If everything that Candace is alleging is true about the Macron family, then this is a twisted, dark truth that has to be exposed. So I'll be the first to admit I'm not very knowledgeable about the personal lives and policies of foreign leaders. When it comes to Emmanuel Macron, I know very little about him or his wife Brigitte. But their so-called love story is so sick and disturbing, one has to wonder how Brigitte Macron isn't sitting up in prison for breaching the professional and legal line of pursuing a relationship with an almost 40-year-old Brigitte pursuing a 14-year-old child in Emmanuel Macron. Now, I have to say allegedly because the official story is the relationship didn't happen until Macron was 15, as if 1 year really makes a difference, but in France it does, as the age of consent is 15 years young. Okay, so by the 1990s, Brigitte Macron was teaching French and Latin at Lycée La Province, a Jesuit school in Avignon, France, in Paris. And I don't speak French at all, so if I'm butchering the words, please forgive me. Okay, so the story goes, in addition to teaching French and Latin at Emmanuel Macron's high school, she also taught drama in the after-school program. So they met when he got the lead role in a play, and the two grew close, and allegedly Brigitte pursued this relationship with 15-year-old Emmanuel Macron. And I'm going to put it specifically on her because she was the adult in the situation. I don't care if he was 15 and at the age of consent, that is a boy. And also, Brigitte was married at the time, and she had a daughter that is the same age as Emmanuel. And I know some of y'all are thinking, okay, well, if she had a daughter or she has children, then obviously she's a woman, she gave birth, but we'll circle back to that in a minute. Now, when it was discovered that Emmanuel and his teacher were having an affair, his parents pulled him from that school and sent him to another school to finish his education. Emmanuel and Brigitte continued to keep in touch during this separation. Now, no charges were brought up against Brigitte because, of course, he was at the age of consent when it was discovered, and she was allowed to continue teaching and being around children. I mean, this is some sick stuff. We are starting to see this on a daily here in America of teachers preying on their students and having sexual relationships with these young kids. In America, you at least go to prison for that and get labeled an offender against children. In France, apparently you get to marry the now adult that you groomed and become the first lady. Now, of course, over here in the US, we're wondering what's going on in France and how did they allow this man to be voted into power knowing the depravity of his ungodly union? Well, there was a media blitz romanticizing this relationship and painting it as some kind of unconventional love story instead of the perverted relationship that it was. And because Emmanuel Macron was an adult and still chose to marry Brigitte, people eventually came to accept the couple. I mean, Emmanuel has been quoted as saying this about his relationship to Brigitte. He describes it as a love often clandestine, often hidden, misunderstood by many before imposing itself. Now, in the comments section of Candace Owens' videos, many of her French supporters claim that this isn't true. A lot of them say many people try to speak out against this and their opinions on the matter were drowned out. You see, France does allow free speech, but to an extent. France has laws against hate speech, defamation, and insulting public officials. And these laws are sometimes applied in ways that raise concerns about freedom of expression. So, according to some of the comments, they had strong opinions against their union, but it could only be voiced amongst themselves and not publicly. Now, here's where it gets more wicked. The Macrons are alleged to have a mantra within their family when it comes to selecting mates, and that is incest is best. Not a foreign concept when we know that royal families have engaged in incestuous practices for generations, until all that inbreeding caused major health problems and deformities, so they had to rethink how they would keep their bloodline so-called pure by moving further down the family tree. So according to Candace Owens' research and French reporter Xavier Broussard, Brigitte and Emmanuel might be father and son or uncle and nephew. I know, this is wild, a conspiracy theory for now, but she does provide a family tree, photos, the whole nine. So again, watch it if you want, and you can draw your own conclusions. And again, I know some of you are wondering, how could he be an uncle or a father? Like, that seems pretty far-fetched. Well, this family is known for changing names and assuming the identities of deceased family members. Again, Candace Owens goes into great detail, and she shows pictures, and she has documentation, testimony from people close to or within this family's inner circle, allegedly. And just as an example, this right here is a photo of Brigitte Macron's son. Why, oh why, does he look so much like her husband, Emmanuel Macron, who she does not have any children with? I'm gonna just leave that right there. Which brings us back to her kids. If she has children, then there's no way she could be a man. I actually do believe that these are her biological children, but I don't believe that she gave birth to them. I believe she impregnated a woman when she was living as a man, because the transition didn't take place allegedly until she was in her 30s. Okay, so I know that this is a lot, and I understand any skepticism you may feel. All I can suggest is that you go to Candace's channel and watch the entire series. Okay, so I'm going to summarize again what Candace Owens is alleging. So she is saying that Emmanuel Macron's uncle or dad lusted after his own nephew or son at an early age. He then began to transition around the age of 30, took a job teaching at the same school as his nephew or son, and groomed him into a relationship, allegedly. I mean, think about how diabolically sick this is, that before Emmanuel could form proper relationships with people within his own age group and his own peers, Uncle Nasty or Daddy Nasty installed themselves into his life to circumvent him from ever being able to experience normal rites of passage, like forming proper relationships with people within his own age group. Macron never had children of his own because, male or female, Brigitte Macron was 54 when they wed, and he was just 29. So her childbearing years were far behind her. And if she really is biologically male, then of course they couldn't have children at all. And to fully drive the point home on how depraved this all really is, if they really are related, what are the odds that Brigitte waited until he was in high school, if he or she, whatever, had access to him at a younger age, being that they are closely, allegedly related?
You're probably hoping, oh, this will go away, and at least we'll say we sued her. We'll say we went after her. She'll probably file for this to get dismissed. I'd like to make it to discovery. I think that we owe that to the world. Anyways, you guys, we are revolting against this. We're revolting against the perverts that run the world. And I want to be very clear here. I count you among them. I think you're sick. I think you're disgusting. And I am fully prepared to take on this battle on behalf of the entire world. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. On behalf of the entire world.
So there is a victim in all of this, and in my opinion, that would be Emmanuel Macron, even if he doesn't see himself as that. I mean, we all remember this crazy moment of Brigitte putting her paws on him when they were coming off the plane, and one can't help but wonder what is truly the nature of their relationship. It's clear he was groomed, but is he being abused too? Like, what is really going on? And after all of this, if you're still wondering why we should care, all of this seems to lead to one goal, and that's to normalize the abusers of children. In Candace Owens' research, it seems that the Macrons surround themselves with nothing but abusers of children. PDF files. I gotta say, within the community guidelines, so I have to watch how I say it, But I must say, Candace was throwing the word around like a frisbee all throughout her special, and she didn't have to censor herself, and I doubt her series will get demonetized unless the Macrons win their lawsuit, but whatever. So the Macrons have also been called out for promoting literature and art that is created by open pederasts. And a pederast is a person whose proclivities lean towards underage boys exclusively. So again, I say, please watch Candace Owens' special. It's 8 parts and it will draw you in. I started watching it before work, listened to it on the way to work, on my break, on the way home, and finished before bed. She is very thorough in her presentation. She breaks it all down so it's easy to understand because there's a lot of different people that make it hard to follow, but she makes it digestible. And she uses the research that is provided by French journalist Xavier Broussard, who she collaborated with to put this together, and she makes a very compelling case. It will be very interesting to see how the Macrons refute her evidence. So I understand now why she is willing to put her journalistic reputation and potentially her safety on the line, because allegedly there have been some journalists who have come up unalive for trying to expose this information, so she is risking a lot. And if all of this that she has alleged is true, Brigitte should be a pariah. I don't care how long ago it was, how in love the Macrons claim to be now. This is sick on so many levels. And if we continue to allow the media, political figures, and celebrities to reframe our morals to suit their immorality with no resistance, then we are the mindless sheep that they paint us out to be. Crimes against children is all of our business. Now, I wouldn't be a true friend of a friend if I didn't call out Candace for her BS. This is also the same woman that proclaims her love for Kanye West, a man who has been accused, and I do say accused, not convicted, of ex-trafficking, stalking, assault, and the R word. Even though, again, he denies these claims and calls it fantasy fiction, fantasy of all words. This is someone who she endorses and calls her friend. She's even quoted as saying, "I will always defend Ye with no limits." Or what about her homeboys, the Tate brothers, who have racked up a combined total of 21 criminal charges that include the R word, assault, human trafficking, and some of their victims were minors. But she cares so much about the children. And of course, we can neither forgive nor forget her endorsement of 47. Sure, she's distancing herself from him now because she thought she had a seat at the table, and once she served her purpose, they kicked the chair from up under her. I mean, how many felonies does he have? How many women has he been accused of essaying? What do we all hear him say about essaying women?
Automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the do anything.
What about the disgusting, incestuous comments he made about his own daughter?
The favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop it.
And then his alleged besties, Epstein and Maxwell. Where was your discernment, ma'am? And she still continues to make excuses for him.
He didn't respond to this allegation that there was this press briefing in May and that Pam Bondi alerted him to the fact that he was in the Epstein files. Now, if you put that, if you accept that to be true, or I think that it's reasonable that there could be some veracity to this, then it finally makes sense why he did a 180, right? Why the administration was printing out binders and having girls pose with them. And then suddenly we're like, why is everybody talking about Epstein? Who cares about Epstein? Because maybe Trump was like, okay, me being mentioned in this file is something that I don't even want to deal with. Doesn't mean implicate that he did something wrong with a minor. But yeah, of course, if you're going, this is going to be an absolute firestorm. Who knows? Like I said, it could be maybe Jeffrey Epstein gave money to Miss Universe or had it funded and was having girls that were underage running through that somehow. Who knows? And maybe Trump genuinely did not know about that until Pam Bondi. And I think that kind of lets us know that he was a bit shocked because they were all fine. I'm sure if he knew he was in that binder or knew that he was somehow involved with Epstein, he wouldn't have allowed them to go outside and take photos with phase 1 binders in February. So Trump is surprised by this. He would have been surprised in May when she said that, which means he likely was not involved with minors. Or right from the jump, he would have said, nope, no binders. Don't promise anything. I'm involved in a really bad way.
So personally, I feel like she's using this Macron story to atone for her part in helping Trump get into power, and I don't feel her intentions are pure. She is loving all this attention that this story is garnering for her globally.
Everybody's watching this series. I got clued into this, out into this yesterday when a commenter wrote this under our episode. Candace, I live in Guangzhou, China. Your special on Mr. and Mr. Macron has gone viral here too. Congrats, everyone knows. Which is amazing. That person is commenting on that. And then we went to go look into it. And sure enough, this is a headline in China about the series. We also saw in Taiwan, there was a news clip about the series. Watch this.
法国总统马克宏72岁的夫人布利基，因为被美国右翼百万网红欧文斯指控，事实上是男人。夫妇两人3次要求收回言论，被置之不理。23号气到跨海到德拉瓦州提告诽谤。
You are officially a very goofy man, Brigitte. I love that. I love you, Taiwan. I love you. And then we've got also in Saudi Arabia, somebody tagged me and let me know that also in the Middle East, somebody tagged me in the UAE this morning. But then we found this clip, this news clip out of Saudi Arabia. Take a listen.
كانت نشرت معلومات ومزاعم بتقول فيها إنه بريجيت في الحقيقة رجل وإنها ولدت ذكر واسمها كان جون ميشيل ترونيو. وكانت كانديس أوينز نشرت كمان على يوتيوب سلسلة فيديوهات تحت عنوان Becoming Bridget.
I love that. I just love this so much. This is exactly what they deserve by thinking that they were going to suppress my speech with threats and in the absence of any truth. Like they were just that powerful. They were going to come here and be like, now you better listen to us and shut up. Of course, I am only going to get louder. But my favorite thing, by the way, is that we sold our Time Magazine parody t-shirts of Man of the Year, which got an honorable mention in the lawsuit because somehow they think parody is like grounds for a lawsuit, completely crazy. But Time Magazine, the actual Time Magazine, then included a point about our t-shirts in their article. It reads, the complaint argues that Owens monetized her allegedly defamatory claims about the Macrons, including by selling merchandise, such as a t-shirt displaying Brigitte Macron on fake Time Magazine Man of the Year cover. Love that for us. I absolutely love that. That's iconic. Getting Time Magazine to cover our parody Time Magazine t-shirt is simply iconic. And of course, they are still available on our website, CandaceOwens.com. Much more to come, you guys. I am totally committed now to doing so much more on both Emmanuel and Brigitte. So stay tuned.
It's just crazy how inflated she's acting when it comes to a topic so serious as protecting children from adult predators. I do feel that this is definitely a worthy cause, but she better start taking this seriously. Her arrogance is allowing her to believe that the Macron's money and power doesn't have reach in America, or that her notoriety will shield her from retaliation. It is true that the Macrons have already lost a defamation case in France in regards to the rumors regarding Brigitte's gender identity, but who knows the ways in which they are willing to exact revenge. If they can't win in court or the court of public opinion, Candace Owens might want to be careful is all I'm saying. One thing I do know about white folks in power is they will play the long game and they will allow you to think you won something until they're ready to strike back, and then it's a done deal. So, you guys let me know in the comments, have you seen Candace Owens' series? Will you consider watching it? And if I have any French friends here, let me know down in the comments how you feel about all of this and how the people of France are reacting. I would love to know, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.